New episode of KFC Radio is about to start right now, but before we do that, I need a favor from you. We've got a new channel. It's called the KFC Radio Clips channel. It's a short form with all of the best interviews, segments, and moments from KFC Radio, past and present, just a few minutes long, so you can keep up with the podcast and all of our greatest moments if you don't have time to watch the full episode. So head on over there. There's a link in the description below. Click that, subscribe, and then come back and catch the full episode. Thank you. It's another edition of KFC Radio on the Barstool Sports Network, flying solo today because Feitelberg is jet-setting around the world, back in Italy once again. So it's me and your girl Jackie, and Jerry Seinfeld is fucking at it again, man. Jerry Seinfeld gave the speech, the commencement speech this past weekend at Duke. And he has one daughter that graduated from there and one son that's currently enrolled there, so obviously you can understand why he gave the speech. And as he took the stage, a few dozen students got up and walked out of the graduation ceremony as a form of protest because Jerry Seinfeld, who's Jewish, has had a very pro-Israel stance in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And as they walked out, they had Iranian flags and Palestinian flags, and they were chanting Free Palestine. And then the other side of the audience who were there and to enjoy him started chanting Jerry, 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 which is just a complete and total mockery of everything. And then they took to social media, the kids did, and they said that Duke ruined the celebration by including a pro-genocide Zionist, and they proceeded to try to have their own little celebration, their own graduation somewhere else on campus, which was just not what they thought it was. I think they thought it was going to be this big, powerful moment and this big thing, and it was just like, again, a couple dozen students out of like 7,000 just chanting about Palestine. He got up there and did a speech no matter what. I don't think it made the impact they thought it was going to be. I said I would have walked out on that speech, not because of anything to do with politics, but because I can't listen to Jerry Seinfeld talk about cancel culture and how comedy isn't allowed anymore, again, for like the 50,000th time. His whole speech started off like, you need your sense of humor, and I know you kids are going to like go on to change the world for the better, but also it's okay to laugh at jokes and be awkward in humor, and it's like, oh my God, he's doing it again. He did it with his interview with the New Yorker. The guy from the New Yorker absolutely smoked Jerry Seinfeld. I don't know if you saw this, Jackie. He was like, nowadays you write a script and it goes to one person, and then it goes to the next person, and the next person, and like 5 people touch it and give notes and revise it, and then your script is dead. And the guy was like, has that ever happened to you? And he was like, well, no. And it was like every example he came up with was like, the guy was like, well, what about this and what about that? And he was just proving Jerry wrong at every step because Jerry's like 5 years too late. He's still talking about, I think he said like PC wokeism or something like that, which is like, those are the phrases that we were throwing around in like 2018, 2019. I
also feel like it's so talked about now. Like people are like it's like a trope that comedians talk about cancel culture.
That's what I mean. It's like there was a time, and even back then it was a little inflated when it was like, if you say something, there's going to be a bunch of people who call up, the sponsors or whatever, and it was going to be a headache for you. I think Shane losing SNL was the only like real tangible one. Everyone else had you had a bad day of PR. You had to fight some fans online, but nobody really lost anything other than anything notable, at least other than Shane with SNL. So even back then, it was a little bit like blown out of proportion, but it certainly is now. Now is like, I mean, Shane's a good example. He says and does whatever he wants now. He's the biggest comedian in the world. The Tom Brady roast was the most talked about thing in entertainment the past couple weeks. It was the most vicious, inappropriate comedy you could possibly imagine. Tony Hinchcliffe got up there and said anything and everything about everybody who's famous, and everyone was like, oh, that's Tony's like coming out party to the rest of America for the people who didn't know about him. That sort of humor is... the guys from Sunny proved him wrong when Jerry said... I think I talked about this Feitelberg last episode, when Jerry said we couldn't do an episode like that today, something about Seinfeld. And Rob McElhenney quote-tweeted a picture with Rickety Cricket and said, yeah, no, probably we could do it today. It's like... And those guys have been through it all. Those guys never got canceled or anything because they just didn't let it like infiltrate their lives and like overtake them. And I understand there's also like when you're mega famous, the way those guys are a little bit under the radar, they don't get as much attention and as much negative attention. But it's also like if you just keep your head down and make funny shit, because at the same time of that era of like cancel culture, there's some unbelievable shows. There was Fleabag, there was Schitt's Creek, there was Veep, there's Sunny for like the 15th season, and then there's like humor built into all of the other genres. Like if you watch The Boys or you watch Succession or The Bear, there's like those aren't like comedies, but they are funny and like there is humor in there. I think that's what Seinfeld's point was. He was like, do you know Jerry Seinfeld's 70?
He's 70?
70. I think that's part of the problem. Because he looks fucking amazing for his age. But when I hear how old he is, I'm like, oh, no fucking kidding. He's talking like this. He's like an old grandpa. Yeah. He was talking about, he said on a podcast with Dana Carvey and David Spade, he was talking about sitcoms. And he said, we used to all have MASH and All in the Family. Do you even know what those shows are?
I mean, I've heard of them.
You've heard of them? Like, would you ever know anybody in it or anything that it was about?
No.
It's like he's talking about shows that I think ended in like the early 80s. Like we're talking about shit that's like 40 and 50 years old. No fucking kidding. It's not the same way anymore. Like, I guess if his point is that like we don't have that must-see TV network sitcom anymore where we all sit down and watch that Thursday night at 8 o'clock, that's probably true. But that's because it's turned into, I watch a podcast, I watch stand-up specials, I watch skit shows, and the shows that I do watch are not that half-hour cookie-cutter show. They're like, an hour-long, seasonal type show. So it's like, I don't know if his argument is more about the cancel culture stuff or just the form in which we watch it, but all of it is like, yeah, man, I don't know. It's not like it was in the 80s. It's not like it was. And also, he's living in the Seinfeld world back in the 90s. And he's like, there's no show. We couldn't do that show today. And it's like, well, Larry David did.
Yeah.
For the last 12, whatever years, 9 seasons, however it was. Like, he took the premise of Seinfeld and the style of Seinfeld, and he did it in this era that you're talking about that nobody can do comedy. So if Curb can thrive this whole time, and that's basically who he was, what are you talking about?
Yeah, do you think he's like using it as an excuse kind of for like...
Well, yeah, I mean, listen, I said on the video I made the other day, which by the way, we're doing, everybody knows about 1 Minute Man, but now we're doing 5 Minute Man, which is just longer, more, some of the same topics, but more fleshed out. So I did... I already talked about some of this on the YouTube channel. You can subscribe to that. It's 5 Minute Man. And there's also a 1 Minute Man YouTube Shorts channel. I said, I think we have learned who's the Brady and who's the Belichick in that duo, because Larry David went on to have a whole other career and one of the greatest, probably maybe even considered better than Seinfeld type comedies. And Jerry's making movies about Pop-Tarts that the world fucking hates. I want to watch that just to see how bad it is.
I know.
That's like the way it was being talked about. I'd rather, of course, you want to have a great movie. If you're not going to have a great movie, I think I'd rather have whatever unfrosted is. Like, I don't want to be in the middle. I want it to be so fucking bad that everybody goes and watches it for that reason, and I can become part of like a cult classic, win like a Razzie sort of thing. Once Stephen Che was like, this movie is amazing, He said must see. He was like, the comedy is brilliant. I was like, that movie sucks. I was very skeptical over a movie about Pop-Tarts to begin with, but that movie sucks.
Wait, why are people saying it's bad?
It's just like atrocious. Like, it's just not funny. The cast is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, it is. Let me pull up the IMDb. The cast is so fucking huge that I'm sure they felt like unfrosted, right? I'm sure they thought, like, with Jerry and these names, like, we can't fail. But they did. Let's see. Top cast. Jerry Seinfeld, Jim Gaffigan, Hugh Grant, Christian Slater, Amy Schumer, Cedric the Entertainer, Earthquake, Kyle Dunnigan, Sebastian Maniscalco, Melissa McCarthy. Like, the list just keeps going on and on. James Marsden, like, big-time major actors. Tony Hale, very funny people. Dean Norris, Peter Dinklage, Bill Burr. It's like, how did this fail?
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, it's a movie about fucking Pop-Tarts, dude. And I don't know, maybe that's part of, like, Jerry used to be able to do, like, comedy about anything. That would be an episode of Seinfeld. Did you ever watch Seinfeld?
No.
Yeah, it's so funny when I ask you and Pabs if you watch Seinfeld, and you didn't watch it, but Pabs, like, actively hates it.
Yeah, why?
Which, I don't know. I mean, I'll tell you why, because you guys are 24. And that show came out in, 1991 or some shit.
Yeah, but a lot of
1990.
people my age do like it.
I mean, it is, in my opinion, it's timeless type shit. Obviously with, like, some technology being outdated, but the rest of it is just, like, the shitty things about life that you gotta, like, deal with. And it's a lot of, like, Curb. I think a lot of people now, if they like that, they just watch Curb.
Yeah. I know more people who watch Curb than who watch Seinfeld.
Larry David just does it in a way. Like, I think of Jerry now as like a nasty old curmudgeon who's like preaching at you all the time.
I think the Kesha thing lost a lot of people.
Yo, that to me, I said it didn't lose enough people. Like, the first reaction to that, when Jerry Seinfeld gave the fucking Heisman to Kesha, who just wanted a hug, people were like on his side at first, being like, oh, he's like the quirky old man. And people were like shitting on Kesha at that point. And then, like, once everybody got the information about, like, what Kesha was going through, and you look back on it, like, that girl, she wanted a hug. She needed a hug.
Yeah.
I look back on that, and I'm like, why didn't you just fucking... And I get it. Like, someone running up in your personal space is weird. But, like, the way he just kind of, like, dunked on her afterwards, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And, like...
No, I'm good. I'm fine. It's like, I don't know. If some chick ran up to me, there was some, like, diehard stoolie, and then she ran up to me and hugged me, I would just, like, obviously it's a weird move, but I was just like, okay, hug it back. And, like,
it's one of those things where, like, it's harder to hold a grudge than not. Like, it's harder to not hug the person at
just
that
do
moment.
it and it's over. Now you have a whole...
Yeah.
He's talking to her, and he's like, it could have been done.
Yeah.
But I that sort of stuff is like, oh, yeah, and, like, all of this shit is just, like, enough, bro. You're too late, and it's certainly not the right time to talk about, like, comedy being held back.
Yeah.
Again, if you want to make the argument that we don't have the Superbads anymore. We've talked about that forever. The comedy blockbuster in the summertime. Those don't exist anymore. We don't have the sitcoms, but you have. It's because it took other forms. It's like all of that humor is packed into these dramas we're watching, or the superhero movies, or now like I said, you watch the podcasts, or you watch the stand-up, and even things like we went to the premiere of Tires for Shane. I think Tires will be the first one in a while that does do the half-hour sitcom traditionally. If you haven't seen, have they put I know the trailers are out. Did they put? No, it hasn't premiered yet, right?
No.
I think Tires premieres on, like, May 22nd or May 23rd, and it is going to be a very funny, like, true-to-form sitcom. So, like, I just don't... Now is not the time to talk about comedy failing, because I know everybody's selling out arenas, everybody's making money hand over fist. I think there was maybe a time where it was a little bit harder to get some of your controversial jokes in, And even now, I think that's pretty much done, as evidenced by that. I mean, that roast is like, they're going to keep doing those. They're going to keep, all of these comics are going to keep rising through the ranks. It's just enough, dude. Enough. You're 5 years. But again, if you told me like a 70-year-old man doesn't understand the landscape right now, I'd be like, oh yeah, of course. I don't know how the fuck he looks like that.
Yeah, I know.
He looks exactly the same.
Because it's like
he looks better.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, that's just men age so much better.
Also, when you have, I think he has literally $1 billion.
Yeah,
it's probably easier. But yeah, he's got like if you look at Jerry or anybody in like the early '90s. It's like they had like weird hair and they dressed funny and just didn't look. Now it's like he's got salt and pepper hair and it just looks better even than he did in his prime. It does suck for you girls.
I know, but there like it's getting better. Like Anne Hathaway looks better than.
Have you seen that movie?
No, I haven't, but I want to.
It is preposterous. It's so silly.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Wait, I thought it was really good, but maybe I'm just hearing.
No, I mean it's exactly what it is. It's like a romance novel on the beach turned into a movie, but yo, she's getting it in. Like she's getting fucked. She's getting fucked, man. Good for her. She wrote out so much shit. I know she's John's girl, so I don't want to encroach, but like there was just so many. She was kind of like a Nickelback type joke where it was like, why does everyone make fun of her and hate her? And she just rode through that period and came out the other side. Yeah. Now it's just like, I look great. I am great. It takes a lot to do that.
Classy. She makes me want to change my name to Jacqueline.
Ooh.
Like, don't you think?
So you want to start going as Jacqueline?
But I just I can't pull it off.
When you meet somebody, you introduce yourself as Jackie. Maybe that's what you got to change.
But
maybe you got to start rolling up on dudes, being like, "I'm Jacqueline. Nice to meet you."
Yeah, I know, but I don't fit. Like, do I look like a Jacqueline? No.
If you want to be one,
I know
you got to dress the part, act the part, walk the walk, and talk the talk.
I kind of think once I get a little bit of money, I'm gonna throw out all my clothes.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna start my wardrobe as Jacqueline.
Oh,
and become Jacqueline?
It's like a PR makeover. Like,
I know.
Like we're gonna give you a full blown. I mean, listen, I'm not the best at doing PR. Clearly, I've never made over myself, but we'll do it for you. You're Jacqueline.
I really think I could do it. I think give me a year.
I'm actually a big proponent of that. I've always said one of the things.
But I've also just been a big proponent of stay true to yourself.
Of what? Stay true to yourself. Well, yeah, listen, if you're being completely phony, that sucks. But I've always been a big proponent. This is something I've preached for a while. And actually, it segues nicely to the next segment where I'm going to give you my presidential platform, and I'm going to tell you how I'm going to change the world for the better in 2024. Vote for me. I've always said once you first get a job and you make enough money, take one paycheck and blow it on some clothes. And take the hit. It's going to be tight that month. Obviously, you got to still pay rent and all that shit. This has to be a little bit of expendable cash. But take money and go on a little shopping spree.
So
if you're a guy, get a nicer suit. Girls can kind of shop, I think, easier than guys. Guys have to spend a lot of money to get quality, you know. But just blow it. Get a really nice pair of shoes. Get a really nice this, really nice that, because then you start to live that way.
I've done the math, kind of, and I would need about I actually think this would be an interesting video. I would need about $10,000 to and it wouldn't obviously be the nicest stuff, but it would be enough to where I'm getting pretty good quality stuff. I would throw out everything, and the video would be starting my wardrobe from nothing.
Let's do it. When do you want to do it? Well, it'll be part of your yearly bonus. I'll give you $10,000.
Really?
Yeah. Well, but you have to make the video.
To do the video.
Yeah. So if you want to do it over the summer, if you want to do it in the fall, when does you got to pick when you want the money? Because for me, I like fall clothes.
That's a good point.
I wouldn't go spend $10,000 on summer clothes because it's shorts and t-shirts and shit like that.
No, but I could right now what's in. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. Before spending any of the money, I'm gonna make a bunch of sheets. Or I'm going to make a bunch of what I would want to buy, how much, the total cost.
Okay.
I'll do it for seasons. You and John can decide what I'll draft up something.
Okay, I like this.
And then
You should also throw in a little bit of like...
It's like becoming Jacqueline.
I like that. Should also throw in a little bit. Some of it should just be like name brand, spend the money, like I said, get high quality. But also find some dupes and shit like that where it's like, girls, you could, get this dress for this price and all that. Because you can go about it a couple ways. Like, if becoming Jacqueline means like you're going to buy a pair of fucking Louboutins and get this bag, maybe that's the $10,000. Just having, right?
No.
Or it can be like, I want a whole new...
It's going to be like
Revolve
Revolve
a few dresses.
clothing.
I need a few... Yeah. Because you still, like I said, you can find nice shit.
Yeah.
Right? I feel like when I see like, a lot of these dresses and a lot of the shit that's like trending on social, it's like, you get that from Shein or whatever.
I'm not that,
I know that's shitty, but it looks like... Yeah.
But like that material, it ends up like catching up to you.
Yeah.
But so I would go like middle ground. Mm-hmm. It'd be like, it's not going to be like really nice.
Can we get a Fashion Nova, Jacqueline?
Okay.
You want to be a Fashion Nova girls are not really... It's not really your speed.
You're talking about like the brand Fashion Nova?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean...
Or do they do kind of everything?
They do kind of everything. Like we could get... We'll do a mix of everything. Okay. I'll get like one of the purchases be like a pretty nice thing.
Okay. All right.
I like this.
We'll do this. I'm sure you do. I'm sure you fucking do like this. I'm sure you do.
But before I spend any of your money, I will.
And we have to plot out the video.
Yeah.
All that. Okay.
Okay, we'll do this.
Becoming Jacqueline. I like it.
I really like this.
The official ticketing partner of Barstool Sports is Gametime. Right now, ordinarily, I would tell you to go get tickets to see the Knicks in the playoffs. I would maybe tell you to go see the Mets, maybe go watch the Bruins. But right now, two of those are not even possible, and the other one is a horrible idea. But if you have teams still in the playoffs, if you have baseball teams that are competent, if you want to go see any of your favorite teams, or if you have any ideas for non-sporting events, you want to go see comedy, you want to go see music, you want to go see the Broadway show, any live entertainment, the best way to get the tickets is through Gametime. Again, it's the official partner of Barstool Sports because it's the cheapest tickets available and the easiest way to get your tickets. All you need to do is click a couple times on the app and you have your tickets ready to go. They have all sorts of deals running all the time, different zone deals where if you're in a certain area, there's this flash sale, certain event that will go on sale. Also up to the minute pricing with the best technology so you know that you're getting the best ticket price possible. And if you can find a better ticket price, they will refund you with 110% of the difference between the two tickets. So head over to Gametime right now, use promo code KFC, and get $20 off your first purchase to any live event. That's Gametime. Use promo code KFC for $20 off your first purchase.
All right, so with me flying solo today, I figured we'd do a little bit of kind of a throwback podcast, maybe a little bit of a mail time session. Did you listen to Mail Time ever? Probably was before your time.
There was like a few... There's some that I accidentally downloaded.
Accidentally?
No.
Bitch.
No.
What a bitch. Just a fucking whack in the face.
No. I'm saying like for this job to do like throwback videos. But like I didn't know about it at the time. Maybe I would have if I had known about it.
I will say, I love my boy John, and this is our bread and butter, but some of the early days where me and my brother were just like making shit up on the fly, just like, I don't really know how to make a pod, like, what makes a podcast good, bad, all the other. We follow so many rules now, and I co-sign it because we have to work efficiently and like not just churn shit out that doesn't make any money or isn't successful. But back then, we just literally did whatever the fuck we wanted. It was great. So we used to have more like themed episodes or like one singular topic the whole time. So today, it's something I've been kind of combining two things. I've been thinking about running for president, Jackie. So I'm going to give my presidential platform today here, KFC 2024. And on top of that, kind of putting it together, my slogan is going to be Stop Scamming 2024.
I like that.
Too many scams. Everybody, there's just fucking goddamn scams everywhere. And then you start to look around and every fucking thing is a scam. So I'm going to give you my platform and also highlight the scams of society. The first big thing I'm going to change as president, and it's one of the greatest scams ever, is the 40-hour work week, the 5-day work week, the 9-to-5 day. That shit was made up, I don't even fucking know when. I think like kids were still losing fingers in factories and shit like that. And they were like, we got to figure out a way to, I don't even know. I think fucking Henry Ford made it up or some shit. All I know is that things have drastically changed since then. The amount of time it takes to get shit done is way different. The amount of time that like you spend doing menial tasks, it's all different. Like the fact that we don't change our work week when we've gone through like 2 revolutions since then, and the internet's taken over everything, and computers take over everything, and we're still here 5 fucking days a week. It's some bullshit, man. And by the way, just switching to 4 and 3 makes a load of difference. Because 5 versus 2 is like, man, that's like, it's like double. I have to work double and a half. But 4 versus 3 is almost 50%. It's almost like, well, if you take a half day here, you basically get like 50-50. That would change everything. Everybody would be so much happier. You know how happy you are when you get a 3-day weekend? They'll throw some fucking numbers at you about like productivity and shit and how they want to stop that because they're fucking scamming you and they're trying to keep you in the building 5 days a week and acting like, the entire world will like spin off its axis if we, have 1 extra day of the weekend. Fuck that. So right off the bat, I'm starting with the 4-day work week. Maybe even by the end of my term, if I get reelected, maybe it's a 3-day work week and a 4-day weekend. Because you know what? The rest of the world is already fucking doing that. Yeah, Europe just like sleeps half the week. They literally go to sleep during the day in the middle of the workday. It's like the rest of the world is just fine doing it. So that one off the rip, we're changing that.
When you were working at Deloitte, did you actually have like stuff to do on Fridays?
My job was a little bit different. My job was, it's the only reason I was able to get this job. I got all of my work at the beginning of the month. I was binge working while the rest of the world was still doing week to week.
Okay.
They gave me anywhere between 10 and 20 of these investments, and the bad months were 20, and that was a lot. And then there was the light months at 10, and usually it was somewhere in the middle. And it was like, usually it was like, this one's due on the 2nd, this one's due on the 5th, this one's due on the 8th, 2 are done on the 12th, and it would be spread out. But you could start working on the ones later in the month, earlier in the month, and shit like that. So it was spread out if you wanted it to be spread out, but a lot of times you could just bang it out. So I would just like work late, work on a weekend, get this shit done, and then I could blog, But when it was busy time, it was, I was working till like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and like Fridays were full days. Businesses should want what I'm talking about because like you're paying, especially if you're getting paid hourly or whatever, these people aren't doing a fucking thing on Friday. So if you were the company that was like, I'm giving you a 3-day weekend every weekend, you'd get so much good PR because it'd be like, wow, you're so good to your workers. Because guess what? They're only working 4 days a week anyway because they're fucking mailing it in on Friday. So, probably none of these are feasible, but we're doing it. And some of these are obviously a little more serious than others. But I'm going to change the world of sports as well. Sports is near and dear to my heart. We're going to I'm going to have, by presidential decree, the common sense rule. And it just applies to every fucking sport. Whether it's a review or any call in real time, whether we're talking about like, oh, his foot came off the base 1 millimeter, he's out, or is this a catch or not a catch, or what is the letter of the law? And it's like, yo, just cut the bullshit and just common sense. Did he catch it? Did he land here? Did he land there? We don't need to be agonizing. I mean, NBA reviews are too long now. Baseball reviews are insufferable. Like, come on. You know what's common sense and what's not. And you know what the rule is supposed to mean and supposed to enforce. All this other bullshit just ruins it. It slows everything down. It ruins the flow, the vibe of the game. Common sense. We all know what these rules are supposed to do. Just enforce it that way. And the refs are allowed to say, you're being an asshole. Like, hey, president said, common sense rule, stop being a fucking dick to this manager or this coach or whoever's complaining nonstop. Common sense rule, shut the fuck up, So I'm going to fix sports as a president. Also, for my fellow men, I'm going to fix the bachelor party. I'm going to make it a national law. No big dinner during a bachelor party weekend. You're not even allowed to do it. Don't try to sneak it either. If you come to a restaurant in America on a Friday night and there's 12 guys, I know what's going on. I know some best man is trying to have a steak dinner because he thinks that's what guys want to do. They are illegal in our city, in our country. It'll just, I mean, there's no way to enforce it really without other than saying if it's 8 guys are up sitting at a dinner, it's probably a bachelor party. You're not allowed to do it. It ruins the weekend. People feel like they have to do it for some reason, so we just keep perpetuating this cycle. It costs too much money. It kills the party vibe. Everyone wants to just like take a nap afterwards, especially once you start getting older. It kills that night of partying. It's not what we came to do for a bachelor party weekend, but I know that guys feel like they have to do it. Now it's illegal. Now you can't. You're not even allowed to. You will be fined. The restaurant is allowed to like quadruple your bill. If you're a group of like 9 guys or more out on a weekend night, your bill is now 5x because I know what you're doing and you're going to ruin it for the guys who are trying to party and get nuts and fuck girls and go all night long and all that shit. Get back to bachelor parties being what they're supposed to be. We got to talk about the airport. I'm going to focus heavily on the airlines and the airports. First of all, we're doing the trains. We're doing high-speed trains. Every other country has that. High-speed trains get you fucking across the country in like 25 seconds. But all these shitty airlines make sure that we can't put the train into action because they know they would be put out of fucking business. Well, guess what? This is America, where we work 4 days a week and have 3 days off, and we go with what the people want. People want trains, and planes go out of business, so fucking be it. It's not going to happen, though, and we're all still going to fly, and that's why I'm going to fix what goes on in the airports. The 4-lane security makes no fucking sense. Because everybody starts cutting each other. Like, if I step up to the lane if I'm waiting and I go to the back lane first, right? I'm first online. I go to the back lane because that opened up. Yeah. And then the guy behind me goes to the front one that just opened up after I started. Now his shit is in front of mine, but I'm going through the metal detector first because I did all my packing. And now all of a sudden, I've watched 7 bags go in front of my shit as I've walked through. And then I'm standing there waiting for these people to get through and get their shit, even though I was ahead of all of them on the line. It doesn't make any sense.
I agree.
I don't know what they were thinking. I guess logically, if everyone like did the rows the right way, it could make sense. But it doesn't work. So we're abolishing that. I'm also abolishing... I want to like get a Men in Black, and just erase it from everyone's brain that you have to get to the airport 2 hours ahead of time. You just don't. We encountered it this past weekend. It was the only time I've ever even come close to it. Even when you're at like your worst traffic or going through the security, it's like it takes 30 minutes. Like think about it, if you are online for 30 fucking minutes, that's a long ass time.
Do you think it's like, I've always thought it's maybe like airport propaganda so that you have more time in the airport to spend money?
It's a scam.
It's a
scam. All of these places in the airports that are like you can buy clothes and luggage and jewelry, or like people eating sushi at airports and shit. I'm like, what is going on here?
Sometimes I have like 2 hours to kill, and I'm like,
why not?
I do need a bracelet,
right? Or there's those massage places. Yeah. There's all these things.
Haircuts.
Now, personally, I will say this: I don't mind getting to the airport 2 hours early because I actually like. Some of the rest, I like to sit down, table for one, get like a steak and some wine, or even when it's all of us, we're just kind of hanging out, people watching. But when you feel like you have to get there 2 hours ahead, you're like scrambling and you're worried about traffic, and then you get there and you just cruise right through. You get cut a couple times on the goddamn security line, and then you're there, and it's like, well, now what?
Yeah.
It's crazy. That was like... You know, you maybe got to do that on like Thanksgiving and Christmas, but it's some post 9/11 shit that we're still doing 20 fucking however many years later. And that goes for the airline tax too. paying for bags and airline taxes because of this and that. Those are all things that they enforced with the fucking Patriot Act because of 9/11. It's over, guys. We're done with that. No more fucking scamming us and trying to make us pay for shit. Speaking also in the airport, I have no idea why a place that is like a 24 hours a day, eat food at any hour, you don't know where it's coming from or where it's being made. Like I said, the sushi, like how does the airport get like sushi delivered to it, right? Like I'm sure it's fine, but part of me thinks it's like the reject sushi from the other like restaurants and shit. Because like, why is this gonna go to an airport? You know? And then I see things like sushi. I see things like egg salads.
John gets like
John's disgusting. He gets hard-boiled eggs in a bag and he puts them in his pocket. He's a freak. The rest of us don't want that shit. I don't know when that egg was made. I don't know how long it's been sitting there. Is it actually staying cold underneath the fridge that's open, or is it staying warm underneath the hot lamp? That's why all airports should have peanut butter and jelly. Peanut butter and jellies, the perfect on-the-go, on the move snack. It's cheap, it's delicious, it's got protein, it's easy. Give me some food that's like a good snack that has some shelf life, that isn't disgusting.
I think all
lunch meat, I don't need that. Peanut butter and jelly.
I think all airports should be required to have like a Chili's or like a TJ, like some kind of
one
of those where it's like, because I'm not going to go to the airport and like you don't need to like have something healthy. It's just like, get me something that's a staple that's going to have good appetizers.
Yep.
Done.
That's why I love when we go to LaGuardia, I go to that Buffalo Wild Wings every single time.
Yep.
Get me some wings, eat them up, you're good to go. The Chili's is a great one. Applebee's, even though I'm banned for life from Applebee's, those are all, they should be there. You should have like a like Old Navy, Banana Republic, and the Gap, you know, like those levels. There should be like a fancy one for if you're like, I got 2 hours to kill and I'm all by myself. I'm going to get, steak and some wine. You should have the Chili's, the Applebee's, all that shit. And then you need to have like the on the go, just grabbing it and not have fucking eggs and weird shit like that.
I also always wonder if like the people who work at the airport, are they applying to specifically work at a restaurant in the airport? Or they
like the people who bartend there and shit. You have to drive to the airport and like park at airport parking every day.
Go through like, I know you don't actually have to go through security, but you do.
But like you're going through security, that area, the gates, kind of like.
Or are they like applying to the restaurant, and the restaurant's like, we have a location open in the airport.
Brother, you better get a fat fucking raise.
There's nothing that sounds worse to me. There's nothing.
Working every day in the place where most people are goddamn miserable and they're treating you shitty and they're tired and 24 hours, all that shit. Ugh. That is no bueno. Speaking of wages and whatnot, inflation is a lie and a scam and a myth. And as president, you're not allowed to blame inflation. I mean, this last cycle, whatever you want to call it, recession, not recession, or whatever, everybody's citing inflation, and then we like straight up proved that corporations were jacking up prices just because they could blame it on inflation. I mean, I've seen the graphs, I've seen the charts where it's like the prices went up this much because of inflation and then just this much because of corporate decisions. And we know it, and nobody does anything about it. Those companies should be fucking sent to jail. All of you. Enron, you're gone somehow. You're wiped out. If you raise all your fucking prices and blame it on inflation, you lose your entire fucking business. The fact that we proved that shit and we know the companies that did that and we just don't do anything about it, fuck that. Also, in the realm of inflation, let's get to colleges. Textbooks. I don't even know if they do. They probably do like e-books now, where you have to pay like $300. Fuck that. Textbooks that the professor writes and then just shoehorns into the class, and you have to buy it. Fuck that. I don't have to buy anything, bro. Give me the test. If I pass it, I pass it. If I fail it, I fail it. That's on me. You can't force me to buy your fucking $300 book or $400 online class or whatever it is going on now. I would have stacks of textbooks still wrapped up in the fucking paper, in the plastic at the end of the semester, $300 a pop. There was one day in my dorm, there was a fire, and the sprinklers went off in our dorm. We didn't have the fire, but it went off on the whole floor. And it was bad enough that, like, I mean, if you ever seen like sprinklers go off, there's like old, dirty water in those pipes, right? So it was like black water was shooting everywhere, right? And then we had like a flood, and we all started to hear about how the school is reimbursing for any damage. So I opened up all these textbooks that were still in plastic, and I just threw them in the puddle. And they were like, you know, the RA or whoever came by, and they were like, keep a tally of, like, you know, write down everything that got ruined. And I was like, this book, got all my money back.
That's genius.
Never used it, never opened it. I was like, should I throw my fucking laptop in here? Should I get a new computer? Like, I'm about to run some serious goddamn flood fraud here. But I was like, I had no problem doing it for the books, because I was like, fuck you guys. Tuition in general, it's insane. We just need to stop it. Like, just, again, common sense rule, stop it. There's no longer any college loans. Okay? You can't get a loan as a kid with no job for $200,000 that you're never going to be able to pay off, and you're going to be racked with debt for the rest of your life. I'm going to prevent that from happening. Because right now, an 18-year-old feels like they have to do that, and they fuck their whole life up. So I'm going to take away the ability to do that. You cannot get a college loan, which then means that all these admissions who bank on all these kids getting loans and giving it to them, now that's not happening anymore. So what do? They're going to fucking lower their goddamn tuition because no one can afford it. Let's make college affordable again. Or don't even fucking go. Don't even goddamn go, because the amount of people who are paying for shit that they never utilize, you got to go somewhere to learn how to live on your own and socialize and all that shit. If you have a specific job you want to do, doctor, lawyer, trades, you got to go do that. The rest of us, paying money for a liberal arts degree or a random business degree, I just won't allow it. You're just not even fucking allowed to, because I'm just preventing you from yourself doing something absolutely stupid. Back to the technology for a moment. I am going to abolish text messages popping up on the car screen when your phone is plugged in. Nobody likes that. Nobody likes that. I don't care who you're with. You're sitting with your significant other. You definitely don't like it. You could be the best spouse in the whole world. You still don't want texts popping up. Oh, who's that? Oh, well, I can't stop who texts me. So all of a sudden I could get a random text from one of my friends that you don't like, a girl that I used to date, someone you don't want me talking to, my mom, her mom, whatever it could be. They shouldn't see that. And all I want to do is have the GPS on and play some music. Why do my texts got to pop up too? Just plug it in, no screen. The screen just stays as the car. You don't get your phone on your screen, period. We're just going to stop it. I don't care about safety. No, not happening. The world of food. First and foremost, and maybe the only thing I'll be doing in the world of food, we are going to restore double stuff Oreos. Restore double stuff to its once great. Restore double stuff Oreos to their greatness. Right now, double stuff Oreos are just single stuff Oreos, and single stuff Oreos have been downgraded to like no cream filling at all. A double stuff Oreo used to be like a thick, borderline cake. Like, I used to have arguments about, like, you know, Fig Newton's not a cookie, it's a cake. I used to say, like, Oreos are like little cookie cakes because they were thick, bro. Thick with two or three C's. Like, you could see that cream in the middle. And now it's like, I can't tell. The box said double stuff, but I think somebody might have put single stuff in there. That's how bad that's gotten. That's also a part of inflation. People just making stuff shitty, lower quality. That's done too. You used to buy a car or some shit back in the day, an appliance, GE would last you like a lifetime. They were just like, let's make these cars good so people can have them forever. And now it's like, this thing sucks and you're going to have to get a new one every 2 years. Apple, you're done with that shit. The iPhone came out in what, like 2007, maybe 2009. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
So let's call it 15-ish years. that the iPhone's been out, and we're on iPhone 15. That's fucking crazy. That's fucking nuts. Even like the video game consoles have done a pretty good job. Like PlayStation 4 lasted a long fucking time. These people who just make new shit every 2 years and then hop in their back end and intentionally sabotage the current piece of technology you have. Fuck that. That's over. That's the common sense rule. We all know you're doing it. We can't prove it, but we know it. Common sense rule. If we catch you doing that, you're fucking out. iPhones and iPads and all that, you can only put one out every 5 years. So make it count. Put all your technology into that shit now. Maybe you can have some upgrades that people can purchase when new technologies come out, but you don't have to buy the whole new fucking thing anymore. Those like iOS updates can actually be like real updates with new technology if you need it. But you can't fuck us every single year.
And I don't think you should be allowed to change the port charging.
Yes, all of that shit. The chargers, the plugs, the accessories, the cases. Like we're gonna move the thing from here to there, so your old case doesn't work. Fuck all of that. You're done boning us like that. We got to fix the grocery stores, namely the checkout. Self-checkout, by the way, taking over, where we are probably going to no longer pay any employees. So there's a cost that the grocery store should pass on to us and not charge us fucking like $9 for a box of cereal now. But that's a whole other argument for another day. The self-checkout. I'm a huge self-checkout guy, but we're not there yet. Not every store. Some stores have the best computers and the best technology, and it's like bingo, bango, bongo, you are in and out. But some of them, they're not scanning right away, and you have to put it in the right place so the weight stays there. And then it asks you about coupons and this and that, and old people can't figure it out, and it holds up the self-checkout line and ends up being easier to go to the people checkout line, which defeats the whole fucking purpose. I will invest like billions of dollars, trillions of dollars into the self-checkout lane in the grocery stores so that you can get your shit and get out. And yes, I know everyone's going to steal a few things. Big fucking deal. Everybody steals like one thing when they're doing self-checkout.
Apparently, Walmart is now taking away the self-checkout because they calculate they're losing too much money, which I feel like if Walmart's starting that, there might be...
Because of people stealing?
Because of people stealing. So there might be.
All right, so maybe we got to crack down then. But again, you're Walmart. You're probably blaming it on inflation too. These are made up fucking things. If you're really losing that much money, we'll figure out. They do have those cameras on you now. I think. Okay, I'll meet you in the middle. What we will do is I will create a social media account on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and everything. I will let 50 Cent run it. One of the best guys when it comes to just roasting people on the internet, right? Yeah. We're going to film all you guys checking out, and when you get caught, we send the footage to 50, and he plasters your face on all of these accounts, which it's going to be a government decree. Everyone has to follow this account, so it's going to have like 400 million followers, and you're going to get flamed for being a cheap asshole who stole like a bag of apples by the funniest person on the internet.
And 50 is like allowed to like go out whatever. Like
whatever. He can say whatever you want. You're a fucking pedophile. Apparently that's what we do in rap now. We just fucking lie. So yeah, he can say whatever he wants. So you will be publicly shamed if you steal. That's up to you.
Yeah.
Also, in terms of just checkout of anywhere in general, we are going to what's the word? We're going to have uniform tap across the board.
Yeah.
Some places are still asking you to plug in. No. Some places ask you to insert, do your PIN. Some places don't. No. The easiest, simplest thing. It's either your phone or your card. You tap, and it just says authorized, good to go. That's it. And don't ask me about the receipt. I don't want the receipt, and any receipt over 6 inches, you're getting fined by the Federal Tree Commission. Those fucking long-ass receipts with coupons and shit that nobody fucking looks at, I don't want them. Do I want my receipt? No. The only thing people want receipts for are things that they're, like, charging to their company. When you buy a gallon of milk, I don't need the fucking receipt. I'm not going to charge that. I don't need that for my IRS shit. But credit scores. Credit scores were changing. I don't really know how, but I know that they fuck over a lot of people. And like people who don't use credit cards. If you are smart and you spend cash and don't ever live above your means, and whatever goes out comes in, and you make sure you have money, those people who don't have credit can't get a loan. Those are like the most like what's the word? The people who don't use credit cards are like the smartest, most frugal people. They know how to control their spending, but you can't get a mortgage because you don't have credit. It's better to have bad credit, but show that you've used a credit card before, and they're like, we're gonna fuck you on the APR percentage, so whatever. But you don't have credit at all. Nope, you don't get. It's crazy, crazy. I do believe credit score has actually like helped the world in a big way, because I think before that they just based it on like race and religion and shit. By the way, religion, you're done. I don't know. I'm abolishing religion. No more of this shit. Or I know I can't abolish religion, but we are absolutely separating it out. Like marriages no longer, like if you have like a separation of church and state is back, baby. You're not, any money that gets donated to the church, total and utter scam. The government's stepping in on that. I believe that's all like tax exempt for the religions. Fuck that. If you're paying any money, it's going to a better cause. Actually, really. All charities. All these charities, I've learned so much that all the charities we do here, where we just give it to someone directly, the amount, I learned the other day that like the Red Cross, which is like, you know, the most well-known, like 4% of the money actually makes it to the people. What? It's something like 90% goes to the people running it and like infrastructure and all this shit, where it's basically just one giant fucking money laundering scam. And that was like the ones I thought were good. Can't even imagine the ones that are blatantly shady. So I learned, like through doing all of our donations all the time, it's like just charities have to be straight up real. You have to donate like 90% of it. It has to be flipped the other way. And I know, I mean, obviously a lot of this is me just venting, and I know a lot of these things I'm speaking on are probably like harder to enact than I mean. But like what Dave did with the Small Business Fund was basically what taxes should be. Taxes is the greatest scam of all. It's like, I understand that we need to pay for infrastructure and schools and roads and all, you know, all these things that society likes to have and have updated. You need somebody to pay for them, and that's what taxes are. But I feel like we can pay that amount of money and then not upcharge the rest of us through the fucking ass to pay out to all these politicians so they line their pockets. So just have a reasonable amount of taxes. Because what Dave did was like the way taxes should work. It was like we all chipped in and helped out the people. And I know, of course, when you're running a country that's got 400 million people and 3,000 miles wide and all different types of people, it's not that easy. But it was not, you know, it was still a $40 million fund, and we just picked like who got it and why, and it helped out the people. It seems like that's a good way to do things. Like, why is there not another big scam is health insurance? And that's one that I feel that's near and dear to me, because I've had so many surgeries and gone through so much insurance bullshit that it's like you pay money every month for some shit that is not happening. Nothing is going wrong. And then when you go wrong, you still have to pay a boatload of money. And it's like, yeah, we covered it, but we covered like 40%. What the fuck is that? The whole system there is broken. And I'm thinking to myself, if Dave can do something like that with small businesses, why are there not alternative options where you can just do that for healthcare? Like, we all agree to put in our own money, and if something goes wrong that month, that day, that week, Jackie needs it, okay, you get your surgery. You know, next month I'm sick and I need to go to the hospital, you can donate. You know, it's almost like a donation. But it's like if you knew the people, or you knew it was like a smaller network of people, you'd be like, all right. Because every time we do something nice for like a police officer, or anytime tragedy strikes, people are like, can I donate more? Yeah. We'll buy the t-shirt, but also can I just donate? Well, if it was like we have a Stooley healthcare group and it's like this guy, you know, his baby's sick, I think we would all just give money to help. But when it's this gigantic system that's so utterly corrupt and everyone knows it and everyone hates it, how is there not some, like, I guess, privatized version of that where it's like, just come over here and we'll do that for you? And I know it seems like, well, how can you do that? But it's like, I don't know. Dave somehow pulled it off. Dave just pulled it off for business like that. So why can't we do something similar for healthcare? Because that's the biggest fucking scam in the world, when you think you're covered and then all of a sudden it's like, well, yeah, you're covered by 80%, but the hospital's going to charge you $180,000. Well, 20% of that's going to fucking ruin my life. And you know what's even worse? I think there are certain states where if you don't have insurance, you get taxed heavier. So they force you in to this broken system. And what really pisses me off, what I felt directly, other than I've had so many surgeries, I have to pay so much money, is when people keep a shitty job because they have benefits. That sucks. Yeah. When there's someone who could have been a blogger or a comedian or something cool and creative and, like, actually productive for the world, and they're like, I know, but I need my insurance, so, like, I got to just stay at this job that is sucking the life out of me. Like, I had to pay. I almost didn't take this job because of insurance, and I ended up paying for Cobra insurance, like, out of my ass every month, because I was like, I have too many injuries, I need to have insurance, and I took that leap. But I'm sure there's a ton of people who don't, and they let a good job go by because they just have to have insurance, when if there was another option that's like, we're gonna, like I said, like, crowdsource it or whatever, like, it's like a GoFundMe almost, like, something bad happened, give these people the money. Of course, my platform has to do something about television. We're gonna have to make some sort of flat rate where you get all the different streaming services. We're basically going back to cable. We got to fix that issue. I think I might make a universal rule that every television show has to be, you can drop the first 3 all at once, and then we have to go week to week. We are going to be a country that does week to week television. That is when television was amazing. We're not doing this binge shit where it doesn't leave any room for conversation. We will be a week-to-week country when it comes to television entertainment. You can binge it in other countries. You want to go cross the border and you can binge it all there, but in America, within these borders, we're going week to week. I'll allow you to drop 3 in the beginning so you get that little binge effect, and then from there on out, every single week, we will tune in. Also, every new episode of any television show will have a previously on, and it will recap what happened last episode. And anytime you're starting a new season, you will have like a 5-minute recap. Here's everything that's happened, seasons 1 through 4, because we're about to start season 5. These shows be coming out like 18 months apart. It's like, I don't remember what was going on. It was 2 years ago because we had a writer's strike and we had a pandemic and this actor dropped out and this person left. I need to know what's going on. Previously on every single episode, recaps every single season. I will have in my cabinet, I will have some sort of linguistics expert, and they will be coining a term that captures the phrase, I'm sorry I didn't text you back. I looked at it. I saw it. I told myself to reply, but I didn't because I was busy or depressed or didn't know what to say. And I told myself I would get back to you later. And then later came around and I totally forgot about it. And now it's been 2 days and I went to text you and I opened it up and I realized I left you hanging and now I don't know what to say. One word that sums all that up. And you can just write that back. And the person has to go, oh, okay, got it. You weren't blowing me off. You weren't being disrespectful. You were just blah, 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 blah. And I don't know what the word needs to be. I'm not Shakespeare. I can't come up with a word that sounds good for that. But somebody needs to combine the term like apologize with lazy, depression, apolopression. I apolopression. And it's like, boom. That means I was depressed and I didn't reply to your texts and I apologize. Done. Because we all experience that.
Be like a diagnosis because there's like people who do that and people who don't do that.
Right.
And it's like to the people who don't do that, you don't understand how offensive it should be. Like how
correct. I'm not blowing you off in any way. It's just that I looked at it and I was watching something on television. I was doing something. I do, I care about what you're talking about. I will answer you. I just didn't right now. It's truly no disrespect. Yeah. But the people who do reply can't like fathom that because they're like, I wrote back because I don't want to hurt this person's feelings. And it's like, well, you are right.
Yeah.
But we are depressed or whatever. We have some sort of anxiety. So one word to sum all that up. This might be a regional thing, but going back to Stop Scamming 2024, street cleaning. This is a New York thing. I don't know if they do it in other places. Street cleaning is the single biggest scam in the history of public works. If you're in New York or the suburbs surrounding it, certain sides of the street you can't park on, and if you do, you get a fucking $100 ticket. And all they do is come by with a goddamn Zamboni with a spinning brush that just kicks all this dirt up into the air, and then it just falls right back fucking down all over the place. And it allows you to pick up $100 tickets, bam, 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 bam. Because there are people who are like, oh, I'll move it in the morning, or read the sign wrong, whatever. $100 a pop every single time. We're probably funding, half of the goddamn government in New York with street cleaning. So fuck that. Unless you're actually going to clean these streets and not just dust them up, you don't get to give me a ticket for that. I will be abolishing funerals. No more funerals. Mm-hmm. Funerals are one of the biggest rackets ever. Mm-hmm. We all put social pressure on people who just experienced a tragedy. We have to have a wake. We have to have a funeral. We're going to pay $10,000 for flowers, $5,000 or $10,000 for a casket, $5,000 for flowers, because if we don't, we look like we didn't love this person. We need to celebrate them, all that shit, blah, blah, blah. No fucking way. The people who own funeral homes are the biggest scumbag cheats in the whole world, and they portray themselves as like, we're here for you in your time of loss, but here's a box that we're going to bury in the ground. You got to pay $10,000 for it. And all the money that you might have gotten from insurance or inheritance is going to go right to these fucking assholes. So in America, no funerals can be over a certain amount of money, and it's going to be like $500. Because what we should all do is just throw them in the dirt, throw them in the garbage like Frank. Toss me out with the trash. I'm dead. I don't need you to spend all this money on me. Funerals abolished. Thinking about abolishing weddings altogether, but I understand that's maybe a little too progressive for you guys. Monogamy still has its place in society, so I will allow monogamy, but one, you do not mix finances and taxes and government business with your irrational romantic relationship. That doesn't happen. You can say it in the eyes of the Lord and say forever, but it's not like we're going to mix everyone has a prenup. Everything stays separate. That is just a baseline guarantee. Everyone who gets married has to sign a prenup, whether you're rich or you're poor. It doesn't matter. Your finances and your property and all that shit will be protected, because it doesn't make sense to take all your hard-earned work and money, which is something that's very tangible and real, and mix it with the thing that you're most irrational about. Your love is blind. Love knows no bounds. You're doing ridiculous shit, and you're going to lose money or your job or whatever, your career, your equity, all that over that. No. Everyone gets a prenup, and you don't even have to have the conversation of like, hey, can you sign this? Because it's mandatory. Also, paternity tests. 90%, let's say, of people don't need this. But for the people out there who are getting scammed by baby mamas and shit, and I can't get the paternity test because I don't know how to ask for it, and I have doubts about this. Well, what if just every time the baby's born, you sign the certificate, you get this, and you also say, bam, here's the paperwork saying that this is your kid. No doubts about it. No one can ever scam you again and make you pay for a baby that's not yours. Along the same lines of marriages, when it comes to weddings, all wedding vendors will be watched by government entities like they are goddamn terrorists, because that's what the fuck they are. They just take a zero and tack it on. Something that should cost $500 costs $5,000. Something that should cost $5,000 costs $50,000. You can call up a wedding vendor to make your cake, and if you say this is a wedding cake, it's going to be like $1,000. You call up and say, I want a cake that looks exactly the same, and you just have it say congratulations, and they don't know it's for a wedding, it'll probably be like $300. And they do that for everything. Every single thing, the photography, jacked up. The centerpieces, jacked up. The plates, the cost of the plates, jacked up. The DJ, the band, everyone knows that we are this ridiculous country that has to blow, and again, that might be regional, But so maybe more northeast, whatever. You're going to blow a bag, an amount of money that could be a down payment on a house or something to build your future, and they know it, and they're just going to hold you by your dumb fucking balls until you pay all the money. Nope. I'm protecting you from yourself. I know this is capitalism. People will pay whatever they want. No, I am protecting you from these scumbags who just add a zero onto things that don't need that much money, that should not require that much money at all. We're done with that. Now all that money can go to something better, and then your life is better, and you'll thank me later. Yeah, your wedding wasn't maybe the best. I don't know. Maybe the vendors will drop out because they don't have as much money in this industry anymore. Trust me, you'll be fucking fine. It's one night. Couple more here, and then we'll wrap it up. I don't know how I'm going to enforce this. We're going to do something with 5G, and you know how they've been saying that when 5G comes out, it's going to be the road is going to be a smart road. Like it's going to, like the street is going to be like, it can tell you information about driving. That's how we're going to have driverless cars and all that shit. We're also going to have some sort of if you rubberneck while you're driving, meaning if you slow down to look at an accident that's on the other side of the fucking highway and it causes traffic on this side of the highway, we're going to see how many miles per hour you're driving while you look at this fucking accident. Somehow, some way, we're going to enforce this. And if you do that, you lose your license forever. One strike and you're done. When I sit in like 10 minutes of traffic and then I get to it and I realize that my street, my road, my highway is completely fine and it's just people slowly driving, looking, I want to cause an accident. I want to fucking hit all of them with my car and be like, well, now we're going to have real traffic because I just ran you over with my goddamn car. Somehow, some way, I will enforce that. If you rubberneck, boom, license gone forever. Last couple, recycling's not real. I feel like we spend a lot of time saying that these things are recycled or that this is going green or this is helping the environment. All of it's fake. None of it's real. I don't care. It all goes in one big landfill. I don't want to hear otherwise. Stop spending money on recycling programs and spend more on, fixing the grocery store checkout. And finally, last but not least, I think mouthwash is a scam. I don't think mouthwash is really necessary. You're going to tell me after I, brush my fucking teeth and maybe even floss that I also need this one last little... What? What is that? And I feel like dentists push it. Big dentist is out here telling me I got to do mouthwash. I mean, it's good when you're, in a jam. But the people who, do it every night, it's like you just, scrubbed them down and got in between them, and now you need, a once-over. You just did all that. Big scam. No mouthwash. Stop scamming 2024. Vote for me. All right, let's get into some voicemails. Remember, at the end of every month, there will be someone who wins $1,000 for the best voicemail. I just Venmo'd our boy, the Boston Strangler, the other day. He had the best voicemail for the month of April. We are now into May. You got a couple more weeks to submit your video. Best story, best question, best hypothetical. If we will put at the end of the month, we will put it all on social media. There'll be a vote. Top 4 or top 5 voicemails. Whoever gets voted in as the funniest will get $1,000 cash from me. So if you've been sitting on your story, or you got a great question, or you need to make some extra cash, tell us your best story. Send in a video. You click on any of the links in the bio for social media, and it has the link where you can submit the video. You don't have to show your face, although that's highly encouraged and will go a long way to you making it to the final 4 or final 5. But you do have to film something. Don't just film a black screen. Show me where you are, or point the camera at your shoes, or whatever it is. So you can tell your crazy story. You have to give us some visual. Don't have to show your face. But let it rip. Best stories wins cash now.
Hey guys, I have a quick question. I was listening to one of your podcasts, and I guess that this just kind of came into my head. I already know what John's answer is going to be, but would you rather have your dream girl 10s across the board, funny, quirky, anything that you could imagine? She is your, if you were to weird science it, she is your perfect person. But you can only have sex with her once a year. And if you were to jerk off or anything, it can't be pictures of her. Other people, sure, but nothing connected to her. Or would you rather be with a 2 that is probably kind of annoying, doesn't really leave you alone, or just not you just kind of like tolerate her, but you can have sex with her anytime that you want. It's just like beck and call.
I think that's too much of an extreme.
What would you rather? Thanks,
I think it can't be like a 2 if we're going to be so archaic and use the 10-point scale. We're more progressive here at KFC Radio. You know, you have to be attracted to the person you're with. So, like, I think it's better to say, like, a 10 versus, like, this is a girl you would regularly hook up with and have sex with. You're not like, I'm dating fucking Rumpelstiltskin over here because I get to have sex with her. Because I you know, I'll take the... It's a tough question. It's a tough question. It's a tough question. Because if... By the way, like, you're not allowed to jerk off to, like, your wife. It's like, no fucking kidding. Nobody does that. You're a fucking loser. You can love the shit out of your wife and love fucking her. If you're fantasizing about her every time, you're a fucking weirdo, right? Same thing both ways. You're fantasizing about your boyfriend. It's like, come on.
But do you think if you only actually had sex with them, like technically, if you've been married for 3 years, like 3 times, that you
So
would?
the problem is, if you don't have sex in a marriage, you are fucked. You're fucked. Someone will cheat, or you'll grow and resent each other. It will not work. But if it's like perfect otherwise, and you almost have, you almost need to be like in an open relationship. But that's too much, having your cake and eating it too. It's like if you have this perfect person, they only fuck you once a year, but you're allowed to like have someone on the side. It's like, well, that's having everything. So I don't know. I think it depends on how old you are and where you're at in life. If you're married to someone in your 20s and 30s and you're not having sex, like, it's gonna be a problem.
But do you think it'd be like less of a problem if there's an understanding, like this genie just only lets us have one time a year?
Yes, that changes everything.
Yeah.
If it's like, hey, we can't have sex.
Yeah.
I think you're in a better spot. It's when it's like, you choose to not have sex with me.
Yeah.
It's like you don't like me, you're not attracted to me, whatever it is, that's where you start to have problems. If it was like, hey, we have so much fun every other minute of our lives because we signed this fucking magic thing. What would be cool about that is it would probably help. It would still be very hard to overcome, but it would probably help. But that one day a year, or that one time a year, you would be doing some fucking. That would be some sex right there.
And would it be like a designated day, or would it be like you pick, when you're feeling it, you pick?
Yeah, but then it's like, oh shit, it's February and we're done for the year.
And there's so much pressure on you if you.
Imagine you have a bad night as a guy. Oh,
yeah.
Yikes. I don't know. I think if you're later in life, having a partner who's just like your perfect match. Sex once a year. I mean, there's probably a lot of people that have that, where it's just like, I don't know, you are the parent that I parent with, you're the person I travel with, you're the person we watch TV together, we just don't really have sex anymore. But, that's for when you're like 60. Anything before that, it's like, why are we not having sex? I don't know. I do not have an answer, because you can tell me you can have sex with this too. I'm not one of those guys that's like, I'll hit it, like, whatever, still hit it. Like, if you're gross, or I don't find you attractive, and I'm sure if there are people who don't find me attractive, wouldn't fuck me, like, I don't want to do it.
She also said, like, they're annoying and they, like, are clingy.
Yeah, like, that's the worst. That's like the last thing I want to fuck.
It's too much. So
if it's like perfect match, but only sex once a year, versus like they are attractive enough, but they do have like a lot of personality things that bother you, but like sex is amazing.
Yeah. Then I don't know.
I think I'm taking the, let's say, 6 out of 10, because I think no matter what, eventually you start to get on each other's nerves, and all those things that you like loved is like eventually you're just like, it doesn't feel as. Although I guess if you're saying you are truly a perfect match, that wouldn't get old, because you'd be like, you're just so good to be around all the time. I'm taking that because you know what, sex is like, even when you're having it, it takes up 0.01% of your life.
Yeah.
And if the rest of your life is annoying, you can't do that. But I will say it's hard. It's going to be hard to maintain that if you're not having sex, even if they're perfect. So that's a doozy. That is a doozy.
What's up, gang? So the other night I'm brushing my daughter's teeth, and she's 2, so she's fighting me tooth and nail the entire way. And it got me thinking, what if there was a little pop-up bar that showed up almost video game style that would let you know how far you were in a certain task? So if I'm halfway through, I'm able to look up and see, like, okay, I got these teeth mostly clean. And it just got me thinking, what if that was something that you were able to choose for anything in life? Now, we all know what the implications of this might be, but I just wanted to get your guys' opinion.
Wait, what are the implications?
What you would pick out if you had anything unique, that if you could just snap your fingers and a little progress bar would show up to let you know how far you were.
I don't know. I think he's saying sex.
It's got to be something
Yeah,
sexual,
like
but
being,
that sounded
like,
very ominous. I'm like, I mean, there'd be a ton of women out there just being like, "Show me the bar."
I was gonna say, as a girl, it's like,
is this going to be 5 minutes? Is this going to be 25 minutes?
Yeah.
Let me know. But I feel like this is really like the invention of GPS, like knowing when you're in traffic and it's going to end.
Yeah.
Is back in the day when you're in traffic and it's stopped and you're just like, this might be 4 hours for all I know.
Yeah.
I have no idea. We put on the fucking radio and try to hear like the chopper traffic update, but knowing that like this shitty thing that I'm enduring is going to end at this point is a lifesaver. So like, you know, you go to a meeting at work and it's like this person babbles all the time and you can have the bar and you either know to like put them on mute and do some other shit, or you're like, oh my God, he's only going to talk for like 2 minutes today. This is amazing. So pretty much anything you don't want to, you know, deal with. So any of that stuff, travel and just shitty like work and stuff like that. But I guess sex too for girls, if you're like, all right, I gotta pull out some of my best moves to wrap this up quickly because we gotta go.
It's mostly like blowjobs.
Yeah,
like,
I could imagine that.
Because that's like time, like it feels longer.
You're
It's like
just
when you're doing
working.
CPR, and it's like So it's like, even if you know like around what time it should be, you kind of like lose track of time.
Yeah.
Just like, this feels like it's going on forever.
I can't even imagine it.
Yeah.
I try so hard.
You tried it once?
I try so hard to come as fast as I can because I'm like, you're putting in fucking work down
like
there.
tears
And especially now,
streaming down.
tears, there's spit, it's like a whole production, and it's like, I want this to go on forever, but I genuinely feel like it's rude. I feel like it's rude as a guy to sit there and like think about grandma, think about dead grandma. You know what I mean? Come on, you can do that for sex. Just get through.
If you finish in 30 seconds,
Thrilled. It's funny to think of like how many, like if you were to say like I'll be there in 5 minutes, it's like that means nothing. Suck somebody's dick for 5 straight minutes. It's a lot. And I can see that being a lot, where it's like you got to feel in 5 minutes you probably do like hundreds of head bobs and like that's a lot. In one world, 5 minutes means nothing. In that world, 5 minutes can mean an eternity.
What is up, KFC Radio crew? So, I am fresh off a trip to Miami. I was just listening to your guys' weekend recap of LA, and I thought you guys might appreciate the way this one got away from us a little bit. We learned a couple things on this trip. One, got to utilize the buddy system much better. 2, masturbate before we leave the hotel, and those 2 don't have to be used at the same time. And 3, 24 hours might be too many hours in the day. So a couple highlights here. If you want to hear more of them or go more into detail, let me know. Off a plane, in the club, end up at a strip club, got robbed by what in hindsight I'm pretty sure was a prostitute. Did a comedy set for the bouncers outside. They loved it. I tried to, keep it rolling. Turns out 5 a.m. when people are leaving the club, they are not as happy as you are sometimes. So almost had a fight there. Go to Hotel St. Regis. Very, very nice hotel. We had no business being at. Drank at the bar there. They had us saber bottles. We go to leave. We can't have our Uber come up here. to pick us up. So we walk out to the street where there's a bunch of police cars. I asked them what's going on. Turns out Max Verstappen is staying at that hotel, which makes sense because we were there for Formula One. And our Uber driver tried to get into the middle of their convoy as they were leaving with Max in one of the cars. And their lead security team car cut us off and windows rolled down. And it was that scene in Sicario at the border crossing. 4 dudes with guns just pointed straight at us. So that was cool, I guess. Yeah, a lot of things that just kind of got a little crazy. So if you guys want to hear more about it, I can go into more details, but we promised to keep this trip anonymous when we came back. Nobody's talking about what's happening. So
I want to make clear for the contest, like, you can tell a good story, but it's got to have like a question at the end, or like the Boston Strangler was great because it was like, would you do that? Yeah. This is just like some wild shit happened to you guys. What's the craziest thing you've encountered? Like this guy saying like a bunch of guys popped out with guns like at your car, being like, I don't know, put your fucking hands up. What's like the craziest thing you've ever experienced where you're like, oh fuck, this is gonna go bad? Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have something?
I mean, I've been robbed at gunpoint, and I've also been at Fordham. There was a White Castle right on Fordham Road, and there was kind of like the bars and the late night food spots that college kids went to, and then there was places that the locals went to, and White Castle was kind of like in between, where it's like it could be a bunch of drunk kids getting burgers, but there'll also be like local guys from the Bronx there that like you don't fuck with, and they were just picking a fight with us, you know, and they were like just clowning us, just being like, look at these goofy white boys, you know, and we were eating our food. I don't know why we were eating. Maybe we were already eating our food sitting down. We should have just got up and left, but they were like throwing full sodas at us and like burgers at us and shit. And I was like, we're going to get like we're going to get stomped out if we choose to fight here, but they're like throwing full drinks at us. Like what do we do there? So that was we ran away there. There was another time where a guy, like an asshole, we were crossing the street at Fordham, and some asshole like zipped by like really close to us, and my brother like went like that and like hit the back of his car, but just like with his hand or whatever, and the guy stopped and got out and was this monster dude, and like, you know, kind of guy you don't want to fuck with, and he was like, you got to pay me for the damage, and we were like, I don't even know how that one resolved. We were both very fucked up there, but the gunpoint robbing was very it was very like calm in the moment. Huh?
Nonchalant.
Yeah, I think maybe it was a young guy, and I think I did not ever think like this guy's going to shoot me. Like he put the gun in my neck. I just was like, this guy's not going to blow my head off. Yeah, you know.
But how do you know?
I don't. I mean, maybe that was reckless of me to think that. But he got like $7 for me. You know, like we had no money. We were college kids. Yeah. And I just went. We just like continued our walk home. We went back to the dorm and like kind of were just like, that was crazy. And then like probably like a couple weeks later, I had like my sleepwalking incident and fucked everything up. So I probably was like not processing something like that happening, and didn't. It wasn't like I would go back out like when I left campus being like, oh my god, I'm gonna get robbed again. Like it wasn't like that, but somewhere in my body was probably like freaking out, you know? Yeah. But you really like I was no hero. I was not like, let's fight this guy. It was funny because the guy I was with, I've told the story before, but the guy I was with was like known for bar fights and like beating dudes up and shit. Yeah. And he wisely was like, you know, we're not fighting this guy. But I was like, where the fuck was tough guy on that one, huh? Yeah. So, but yeah, it was no like, oh, if someone ever did that to me, I would take the gun and I would. It was just like, nope, here's money. Please don't kill me. But yeah, we gave like, and then it was funny. We eventually told like the RA and shit, and they like called the police. Yeah. And the police showed up, and they were like, you know, they had a fucking binder of like, they were like, is it this guy? Is it this guy? Is this guy? I was like, I have no idea. And they were like, yeah, we're not catching this guy. It was just like, it just happened. That's it. There's no way to stop this.
People were like always getting held because it was like USC
Really?
Like, area, South Central.
A lot.
So people are
Oh,
always
yeah, that
telling
makes
me
sense. It makes sense. A lot of colleges are in bad areas,
Yeah.
and they just have this bubble where it's like really, really nice, and then right outside of it is like, don't fuck around.
Yeah. Nothing ever happened. The only thing is like a homeless man. Like I was just walking, he just like stuck his foot out and just tripped me.
Did you fall?
Yeah, I fell.
Like fell bad?
Fully fell.
That's pretty
and
bad.
And he laughed.
And then he left?
And he laughed.
Were you solo? Mm-hmm. Did you like cut up your knees and shit?
I had like a little bit of a scrape, and I had like a mark from where his shoe was. But I just remember like, being I can't do anything about it.
Did you laugh?
I felt like such a I mean, I immediately just like told my friends. It was like the girls getting punched type thing, where I immediately like texted my friend.
Right.
But that was the only.
You're never
thing,
gonna believe what just happened.
I have so many. Dude, the other day, somebody was like had like recognized me, like seen some videos, and they're like, "Oh, I saw your like homeless man video," and I was like, "Oh yeah, when I went out with homeless man," and they're like, "No," and I was like, "Oh, well,
oh, that one." The fact that you have multiple homeless men. Wait, what were they talking about?
So then I was like, "Oh, is it how I like?" Me thinking that the homeless man on my street's a spy. I talked about this with John on an episode.
Got it.
And he goes, no,
that
He's
one.
like, you let like somebody into your apartment, and I'd forgotten about that homeless man story. So I was like, oh yeah, I let the boy like sleep in my apartment. He's like, you let the homeless man sleep in your apartment? I was like,
wow.
I need you to specify. This
Which
could be
story
crazy
are you talking
I know, this is
about?
a crazy statement, but I have a lot of interactions with the homeless people.
That is very funny. When you have like 5 homeless guy stories, that's 5 too many. You get one. You get one. God damn.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. Send in your voicemails, and we'll see you in a couple days. All right, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, like, and leave a comment below. Click that button.
Or I'll cut off my finger.